Hello everyone, back tuning in to our latest USA forecast. So every Wednesday we do an update for the United States, looking at weather next 10 to 14 days and beyond for the USA. So that's what we're going to do for this video. Just say that coming up later on today, we're going to have our live stream from 6 o'clock this evening. We will be live streaming, and we'll live stream a 10 to 14 day update for the UK and for Northern Europe as well. So everything that we will feature in a normal 10 to 14 day update will be featured in the live stream. And that'll be coming up for you tonight from 6 o'clock on YouTube and bettytogasweathers.com and across all Gasweathers platforms. So hopefully I'll see you at 6 o'clock. But for this video, this is our USA forecast. These are YouTube exclusives, so we don't embed these to the website, gasweathers.com. So if you want to be notified, if you want to know when we are releasing these USA forecasts every Wednesday, you will need to subscribe to the Gasweathers YouTube channel. We're on the grind to 8k subs, and yeah, so if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, then please do so. Click all notifications and then you'll be notified by YouTube when we are releasing these USA forecasts and all of our other content and live streams and whatnot. Okay, so I'll get on with it for you right now. We're going to begin in the tropical Atlantic. We're at the National Hurricane Center for this. Whoops. We got 3 areas of interest. So we have got Teddy up here. We've got Beta just there. And we've got Paulette just there. These are all post-tropical cyclones now. So post-tropical cyclone Paulette is currently giving maximum sustained winds of 40 miles per hour, minimum set pressure of 1,006 millibars, moving eastwards at 12 miles per hour. Clicking on Paulette shows that within like the rest of this week, it's gonna die a death, so going to move in that direction and should be gone by the time we get through to the end of the week or into the weekend. Paulette will be no more. Then we've got Beta just here. That's the remnants of Beta. The remnants of Beta. So that one is giving maximum sustained winds of 30 miles per hour with a minimum set pressure of 1,007 millibars. And it's moving east-northeast at 9 miles per hour. Nothing much to see on Beta. I think Beta is pretty much done with. Then we've also got Teddy up here. So this is post-tropical cyclone Teddy. Still getting maximum sustained winds of 70 miles per hour. So just under hurricane force with a minimum set pressure of 957 millibars. Moving very quickly. Northeast eastwards at 23 miles per hour. And again, this one's pretty much done with. You know, this is going to weaken over the next 24 hours. So current position is just there. And sort of going to go up here and sort of die a death tomorrow as a post-tropical storm. So things are beginning to turn a little bit quieter in the tropical Atlantic at the moment. Other than those remnants and post-tropical elements, there's nothing to see at the moment. So it looks like things are becoming just a little bit quieter now for the time being in the tropical Atlantic. This is how the latest wind flow map looks from earthnorthschool.net in the tropics. So let's just have a quick look at what's going on here from this view. So so Beta is over here, and as I say, it looks like that's pretty much done. It's just the remnants of Beta. That'll be disappearing any time. Paulette is just there. That's going to hang around for the next couple of days, you know, just as a post-tropical thing. The most active system is Teddy up here. Teddy's moving very, very quickly, though, in that direction. And by tomorrow to south of Greenland, I think Teddy will pretty much be done with. Let's have a look at the GFS midnight run from tropicaltidbits.com. See if we've got any more storms coming in the next couple of weeks. So this is the midnight GFS, say from tropicaltidbits.com. You see the 3 areas of interest at the moment. That one just there is Teddy, very intense area of low pressure. That's Paulette, and that is what's left of Beta just there. This is the area to focus on in terms of generating these tropical storms and so on. So let's see if anything else is forecast to develop by the GFS in the next you know, in the next couple of days. So, in the next couple of weeks, I should say. So we've got something going on there. That's some sort of a cluster of thunderstorms. Another area of thunderstorms over here inland over Africa. This is in around 3 days' time. Let's see if anything happens there. So we do bring an area of low pressure out of Africa by the look of it as we get through to around the 27th of September. That's Sunday. It's an area of low pressure disturbance area beginning to drift out of Africa to tropical Atlantic. Let's see if anything comes from that. So we run on into next week. Very little sign actually of anything happening. So it looks like we are going into a quieter period here next week. That disturbance area that comes out of Africa doesn't really develop into anything. It looks like there's something happening just here around Florida. So maybe just a cluster of thunderstorms. So there's a very, very deep trough. Oops, better get rid of that. There's a very deep trough that's plunging southwards out of Canada. More about that into North America. More about that later on in the video. But in the tropics, there's very, very little happening through the course of next week. So it does look a little bit quieter. Does anything ever develop? We're into day 10 now. So up to day 10, it doesn't look like there's all that much going on. But look what happens just here. This is a long way out. This is 4th of October, so this is 282 hours away. But at this point, there is something developing in the Caribbean. That's like a tropical storm and or hurricane developing in the Caribbean. There's something else developing just there as well. What happens with that one in the Caribbean? When it starts to be developed very intensely, pushes up to Florida. So again, that could be a tropical storm, it could be a hurricane. It's a very long way out, 5th of October. But that's definitely something moving up from the Caribbean into Florida. And then look what happens with this. It intensifies further off the coast of southeastern America. That looks like it's definitely a hurricane by this point. Definitely a hurricane off the Carolina coast. And this then moves up the eastern seaboard. Look at that. A very, very intense storm or hurricane moving up the eastern seaboard as we go through like the 5th, 6th, 7th of October. Now, this is a very, very long way out. It's a massively long way out. So it's in the unreliable time frame of the GFS and its ensemble. But it does look like a very intense storm pushing up the eastern coast of the United States through the first week of October. Obviously, this, if it came off, I'm not saying it will come off, but obviously if it did come off, it would bring very, very significant impacts to the eastern seaboard of the United States. It's kind of Sandy-esque. You know, Hurricane Sandy from 2012. It's a little bit similar to that. There's also something else developing down here. So that could be another sort of developing system. But the one on the east coast of America there does look really quite impactful, pushing northwards in towards Canada by the time we get through towards the 7th of October. So although it looks like we're going to have a quieter week next week than we've had for a little while, this hurricane season probably isn't done with us yet. And we may get some sort of significant impact on the east coast of the states, on the eastern seaboard, sometime through the first week of October. It's a very long way out, and we'll have to wait and see how it all plays out. But for eastern coastal areas of the states, obviously that does look a little bit worrying, and it will be something to keep a close eye on. Right, more widely across the United States, there's a big cool down coming up next week. So these are the 500 millibar height anomaly flowcharts from the Penn State University for the next week to 10 days, with the ECMWF on the left of the screen as you're looking at it, the GFS over on the right. So 500 millibars is an area in the active high pressure, low pressure being moved around by the jet stream. Red and orange extrapolate to high pressure, blue to low pressure. So the GFS, so ECM I should say, has an area of above average heights in the northwestern part of America and down that western coast. That ridge of high pressure has been omnipresent for several weeks through most of the summer is still there. It is sending the jet stream southwards, though, into the northeast of America. So we've also got a corresponding deep trough of low pressure plunging southwards on this eastern side of America, which means that the jet stream is doing something a little bit like that. So the jet stream is plunging southwards with that trough of low pressure, and the upshot with that is to bring much cooler air into the north and into the east and the northeast. So big cool down coming up later on next week in the north and in the northeast. The GFS is very similar, much identical really, with again the above average heights of high pressure in the northwest, but below average heights in the east and in the northeast. Jet stream is doing something a little bit like that. So yeah, trough plunging southwards into northern, eastern and northeastern parts of the states, bringing much cooler air southwards with it from Canada. Meanwhile, out in the west and the northwest, we remain under that ridge of high pressure. That's where the driest, warmest weather will be. These are the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles for the next couple of weeks for New York City. Deal with temperature first of all, then precipitation. I'm sure you can see that big green rainfall spike, which we'll talk about in a moment. The red line here is the 30-year upper air temperature average for New York. So in the next few days, actually temperatures aren't doing too badly. The next sort of 5 days are going to be relatively warm. But as we go into the second half next week, quite a big drop in temperature coming between around days 5 to 10. Big drop in temperature on the way. That's as that trough plunges southwards into the north and the east America and pulls the cold air down with it from Canada. A little bit of a recovery there into the second week of October. Rainfall wise, also a lot of dry weather as it's quite warm, also going to be relatively dry in the next 5 days. Then as that trough plunges in from the north, from Canada, so the temperature drops and also we get some heavy rain, maybe initially thunderstorms, but certainly heavy rain coming up. Then as it goes cooler through this period just here, probably goes drier. And then of course we've got to talk about this precipitation spike, going off the chart with rainfall there. Off the chart with rainfall for New York around the 7th of October. That is that hurricane moving up the eastern seaboard. Now you can see there's very little support within the GFS ensembles for that scenario. So no other ensemble member is doing anything like what the Operation Run did there. So it could well be that the GFS is off on a tangent with that potential hurricane running up the eastern seaboard. But obviously, if like you do get a hurricane running up the east coast of the states, then it will produce very intense and copious amounts of rain, and that's the sort of thing that you can see with the precipitation spike going absolutely off the scale. I won't worry too much about that at the moment, but again, it's a very active season. So we know it's been a very active season as we expected. And there hasn't been that many impacts on the eastern coast of the states so far. But given how active the season has been, it wouldn't be totally out of the realms of impossibility for a big impact on the east coast of the states. So it's one to watch at the moment. Probably not one to be too worried about yet, because we are talking about like a couple of weeks away. But it is certainly one to keep an eye on. And given how active this season has been, it probably wouldn't be that unexpected if there was a very significant hit on the eastern seaboard at some point in the next few weeks. So just one to watch at the moment, but don't be too concerned at this point. Temperature anomalies from the 23rd of September to 1st of October, generally warmer than average in most parts of the states, especially so out in the west. But cool down is going to be like days 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 for the northeast. So these charts will start to trend cooler, I think, in the next in the next few days. But for the time being, most parts of the states, anyway, looking quite warm with their temperature anomaly. Precipitation anomaly, very dry through most central and western states, a little bit more unsettled over on these states. Again, I would expect these to trend wetter in the coming days for northern, eastern and northeastern parts of the United States. This is how the GFS is currently looking then. So this is for Wednesday. Current situation is that, so this is for today, Wednesday. Current situation, you've got a shallow area of high pressure really across many northern and eastern parts of America. So there is quite a bit of dry weather, and it's relatively warm as well. There's the upper air temperature. Arctic temperatures are still out in the west, of course. They have been for several weeks, but it's still pretty warm across many eastern parts of the states as well. So run through the next few days, we keep these sort of weather patterns going. It's trying to turn more unsettled from the north, but only really unsettled weather is really kept away, kept at bay into, like, Canada. Generally, there's quite a bit of dry weather coming up as going to the weekend. And becoming warmer on the eastern side of the states as well. Starting to pull up the air from the south again. So becoming hotter on the eastern side of the states, I think, as we go through into the weekend. Now into next week, this is when the change starts happening. This area of low pressure begins to form from Canada, moves down into the Midwest, into towards the Great Lakes on Tuesday. Ahead of it, pretty warm up the eastern coast and out to the west. It is, of course, with this ridge still quite hot up the western side as well. That trough of low pressure then moves over into the east and the northeast of America through Wednesday next week. Winds turning to the north, generally across many of these midwestern and eastern states. A shot of quite cold air coming down from the north, you would say. Certainly very cool. Meanwhile, the ridge continues out to the west with these hot southerly winds drawing up the western coast. So there's the other air temperatures for this time next week. Big cool down, big cool down for much of northern and eastern parts of America, Midwest and into the east of the states. Big cool down coming through there. But out to the west, it's still hot. This west coast still hot, right way up west coast from California all the way up to Washington state. And then we move on into up towards day 10, and this ridge begins to topple in from the northwest. Now, this is a cool ridge of high pressure. So under this area of high pressure, it will get really quite chilly. There will be some early frost around. I think there will be some night frost around as we're moving up towards day 10. But it's drying out. The trough of low pressure pushes away into the Atlantic, and it turns dry, but it will be quite cold under that area of high pressure. And then moving to the XA range beyond day 10, and of course we've got this potential storm coming up the eastern seaboard. This is the midnight run of the GFS. So there it is over Florida on the 5th of October. And look what happens. It eventually rattles its way up the east coast. This is Tuesday the 6th of October. Very significant hit on the eastern seaboard with that hurricane moving up the east coast. Looking really quite significant. By Wednesday the 7th, that's moving up towards Canada, moving out of the way. And then things turning quieter with an area of high pressure developing behind it. The rainfall with that, let's just have a quick look at the rainfall forecast for the GFS with that. Look how intense the rain is on the eastern seaboard. That's the kind of thing that can happen if you get these systems running up the east coast. So that is definitely one to watch, but I wouldn't be overly concerned about that at the moment. ECM looks like this, and again, at the moment, and into tomorrow, quite a lot of dry weather, slack gradients across many parts of the states, and temperatures are reasonably warm. Into the weekend, stays mainly fine for many parts of particularly northern and eastern America. There is this area of low pressure that's trying to dig in from Canada, but it's more or less being kept at bay to the very far north of America over the weekend. But into next week, that area of low pressure does develop in the Midwest and starts to push eastwards. So that's bringing outbreaks of heavy rain across many northern and eastern parts of America, and it's also bringing a shot of cooler air in from the north. Meanwhile, out to the west, we're under the ridge of high pressure, so the hot weather continues in the west. That's Thursday next week. Again, very significant area of low pressure in the northeast. Winds in from the north, bringing a cool shot of air across many northern east parts of America. The west continues to be under the ridge of high pressure, continues to be hot there. Look at the difference in the temperature gradient. Extremely hot still on this western side of America. But going through the Midwest and over to the east, much cooler with those northerly winds digging in from Canada. And then heading up towards day 10, this ridge of high pressure begins to move in off the Atlantic. That will get rid of a lot of the rain. It will turn drier, but it will be very chilly under that area of high pressure. We can see from the upper air temperatures that we are talking about a very significant cool down for many northern and eastern parts of the states. The heat really is just in the west and in the southwestern part of America, but the Midwest and over to the east, much cooler there with those winds in from Canada. Finally, the CFS-V2, so these are 500 millibar heights bring down to week periods. The first week period is going to take us from the 23rd, 29th of September. The coming week is really quite messy, so there's a ridge of high pressure over towards Canada, there's a trough of low pressure towards the extreme northwest, there's another ridge up here, there's a trough down there, so a mixed bag. Generally, most parts of the states in the weekend will be quite warm. Now we go through to week 2, which is the 30th of September, 6th of October. Things sort of simplify themselves with a ridge then in the north and the northwest, and a trough in the northeast and the east. Jet stream doing something like that, so much cooler for eastern and northeastern parts of America in week 2. This is when we potentially got that hurricane running up the eastern seaboard as well, by the way. We go through to week 3, which is the 7th to the 13th of October. And again, a ridge is in the north to northwest, the trough is over in the east. So I think most parts of America are probably becoming a little bit more settled at this point, and probably quite cool. And then we go through into week 4, which is the 14th to 20th of October. A ridge towards California and into the west. And just probably push a little bit further north as well. So that could be turning a little bit warmer across many parts of the states there, I would have thought. So temperature anomalies in the week ahead from the 23rd to 29th of September. Most parts of America looking pretty hot, especially so, or warm, especially so in the north and in the west. It is a little bit cooler in the southeastern corner. Week 2 all flips around. This is the 30th of September to 6th of October. Very substantially cooler than average over on the eastern side through the Midwest and up into the northeast, out onto the west coast, much hotter through there. So obviously again we see that we've got the southerly winds pushing up the western side, and we've got the northerly winds plunging down the eastern side of America from the 30th of September to the 6th of October. Week 3, pretty much a continuation of that. So many of these western, northwestern areas are hotter than average, eastern areas are cooler than average. Not as cool in week 3 as is week 2. Then by the time we get through to week 4, which is the 14th, 20th of October, most parts of states are warming back up once again and becoming warmer than average. Rainfall anomalies look like that for week 1 from the 23rd of September 29th. Many of these central states looking quite dry, wet towards the extreme northwest, and a little bit wet average in that southeastern corner as well. Week 2 is the 30th of September, 6th of October. So then that trough pushes through, plunges southwards, brings rain initially, and then lowers the temperatures. Wind digs in from Canada. We get a ridge building behind that trough. So actually it's turning dry across many parts of the states in week 2. Week 3 is going to be the 7th to the 13th of October. Dry in the east, in the northeast, a little bit more unsettled out in the west, interestingly. And then week 4, 14th, 20th of October, generally quite dry through many parts of America. Right, so just say that if you enjoyed this video, then please can you give us a like. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to tell your friends about Gaz Webbids. And we are on the grind to 8k subscribers. So if everybody who subscribes brings a friend, we're going to get to 8k that much quicker. Right, that's it for the USA forecast for this week then. So key things to focus on, of course, the cool down that's coming up for the north and for the east next week. So initially next week going to be relatively warm. There is a big cool down on the way, as we've already established. So that's the first thing to focus on. Second thing to focus on is a possibility, no more than that, possibility that we might bring some sort of tropical storm or hurricane up the eastern seaboard sometime during the first week of October. All very sketchy at the moment. It's a long way out, seeing the unreliable time frame of the GFS. There's very little support within the GFS ensembles, seemingly, for what that operational run is doing. But given how active this hurricane season has been, this storm season has been, wouldn't be totally impossible, it wouldn't be totally implausible that we could get a very significant hit on the eastern seaboard at some point through the next few weeks. So it's just one to watch at the moment, but one to keep a close watch on. and we'll see how it develops. So that's it for this week's USA forecast. We'll do it all over again next week. But for now, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you check in for the live stream at 6 o'clock this evening, where we're going to live stream a 10 to 14 day update for the UK and for Northern Europe as well. So I'll see you all at 6. That's all for now, though, and thanks for watching.